Audio narration by William Raymond Noack, given on January 2nd, 1983, of this first reel of his 16mm films, which he took starting in 1927.
This is the birthday party for the first anniversary of the completion of the big Concealo factory in Oakland, California. This was taken in the summer of 1927. This is our new factory. It was 400 feet along the front, 550 feet along the railroad tracks in the back, and 200 feet deep. At the most, one time we had 250 men working in this particular plant, from where we shipped building materials to New York, to Chicago, where we had warehouses, and later we had one in Chicago. This was our office crew only. I'm on the right-hand side, my father was on the left. We had a watchman with a dog, and this is the watchman. He had a trained dog. So that's our dog for the watchman at nighttime. The man in the background is one of our truck drivers. Now, this is down at Stanford University. In the summer of 1927, we went down there, and I took these pictures of the ball team practicing. I take it back, this was 1928. Now, this is the plant in Southern California. We have other pictures of it. The building's very dilapidated now, but it was a good building. And then on the right-hand side, this one now, this very old building, is where my great-grandfather and my grandfather built the threshing machine in 1865 to 1870. Now this is at my grandmother Noack's home. That's my mother, my grandmother, Louisa Wagener, and somewheres in here is my two uncles. This is my mother in Alameda at the home we had there. We lived there for probably 20, 30 years, somewheres in that bracket. So this is my grandmother in front of her house. This is Louisa Wagener in 1928. There's my father on the right. On the extreme left is my Aunt Ida, my mother, then me, my grandmother, and my father. This is my cousin Louise Noack, just married to Ralph Gray. This is in 1929, so that's the way Louise looked at that time. She was a very beautiful girl. Now, on the right is my cousin Jean, and my grandmother, and Louise on the left. Aunt Ida is the second from the left, my mother from the left, my mother Ida, Louisa Noack, Jean sitting, Louise, and Ralph Gray. This is my mother and my Aunt Ida, my father's sister. This here is the same group. Little Jean is right down, sitting down. She's a little bit older today. Here they are in the automobile getting ready to leave in 1929. Jean was 12 years old and very smart little girl at that time. This is my grandmother. She had quite a garden. She was 75 years old when this was taken. She passed away 2 years later when she was 77. This is my father on the right, my brother in the middle, and me on the left, in front of 9035 Venice Boulevard. This is the yard and back of it. My father is still a country boy. He had some chickens back there and a duck, and somebody gave him a fox. I don't know whether you can see the fox. Well, it looks like he's got a pigeon there. Oh, that's the duck somebody gave him one day. But we had about an acre and a half on Venice Boulevard, where we had now this is my mother's sister, Gussie, and Barbara, my daughter, in about 1932. That's Aunt Gussie. Now this was taken in 1929. This was before that other picture. This is up at Stockton, California, where my father, my brother, and I visited his younger brother, Walter. On the left is my Aunt Kate, Walter's wife, then Walter, Right next to him is Carol. On the right is Jean. The little boy is Walter Noack, that's now a very successful businessman. So this is the mechanical genius, Walter Noack, his wife, Aunt Kate, and that's my cousin Carol, and here's Louise again. They were very beautiful girls, all of them. And little Walter's just the little boy. Now there's Carol on the left and Louise on the right. And that's my brother. That's my brother Lee Noack. And then this is the whole family group at Stockton. Now that's me and Carol. Now this picture is behind Walter's house, my Uncle Walter's house, where he manufactured pumps. And it grew to be a very big business, and his son just recently, about a year ago, sold it and got a fortune for it. But this is one of the pumps that they manufactured. Now this is my brother Lee and I out throwing a football. The football at that time was an inch bigger than today's football. I can see that this particular film is reversed because I didn't throw it with my left arm. I could throw the ball 50 yards, but I had to do it with my right arm. Now that's my Uncle Walter and his daughter, oldest daughter. This is Jean Noack. Now lives up at Healdsburg. And this is Louise. And that's Carol. Carol lives in San Leandro yet. Apparently it was Christmas time because this is a Christmas tree in 1929. Now we took a trip up to Long Barn. This is the first time I ever got on skis. Skiing was not popular, and this is when it first started, was in 1929, and these pictures were taken in 1928. All these Stockton scenes were in Christmas 1928. Trying to come down the hill. Now this is the toboggan that I told you about, that we took some rides down. This is Long Barn. It's about 50 miles up in the Sierra Nevada mountains from Stockton. That's me with somebody hanging on to me in the back. Now this picture is New York. That is Lou Ross that managed our New York office. He came from a very wealthy family. This is me, W.R. Noack, the old man in the other pictures. Look a little bit different at that time, don't I? Now this is in our office, looking out of the window at the Chrysler building under construction at that time. It wasn't open yet. Now this is in Detroit. The man on the right is our manager of that office, and this is my father on the left. My father was always chewing on a cigar. He didn't smoke them too much, but he chewed on them. We had a very big business. We had 13 offices in different cities back there, and warehouses in Toledo, Ohio, Chicago, and Brooklyn, New York. Now this is the manager of the Detroit office and my father. This is the way we used to travel, was on the train. No airplanes. This is Yankee Stadium in New York, and that's Lou Ross acting up on the left. That is Babe Ruth autographing a baseball. He autographed one for Lou, who he knew quite well, because Lou's stepfather owned the Brooklyn Dodgers, which today is Walter O'Malley. That's Lou on the right, my father in the middle, and on the left is Jesse Swift that managed our warehouse in Brooklyn. This is the old Yankee Stadium. It was rebuilt about 2 years ago. Now this is one of our salesmen in New York, Jimmy Sheehan, a very handsome, curly-haired man. I had to go out. I was a regular Army officer on leave, and I had to go out to Governor's Island to sign in so they knew where to get me in an emergency. So Sheehan and I took the little government boat out there, and this government island is right close to the Statue of Liberty. So this is downtown Manhattan from the government boat going out to Governor's Island, which was headquarters for the First Army. Later years in 1950, I was the special weapons officer for the First Army, which controlled the use of atomic weapons. But this particular picture was taken about 1929. This is one of the bridges from Manhattan Island to the Bronx. Now this is 6th Avenue in New York when they were building the subway, and then they changed the name from 6th Avenue to Avenue of the Americas. It looks entirely different. This is a picture out at Governor's Island. I went out to see a polo game one day, and so this is a wonderful place to be stationed if you're in the Army. You can get over to Manhattan in 15 minutes. Now that is the Hindenburg that later burned up at Lakehurst, New Jersey. This was one of the first flights over New York, and I took this hanging out of the 28th floor of the Fraternity Club building where I lived at that time. That's the Zeppelin, and it's kind of hard to see. It's just above the buildings in the distance. There it is again. This is the George Washington Bridge in uptown Bronx. It's completed now, but this was taken about 1929 when it was under construction. It's a very famous bridge today. These pictures must be I'll have to hold it a minute and see what this is. This is the Stanford Army game in New York, and I think it was in 29. Stanford had two great backfield players, and it was one of Pop Warner's best years, and they won the game handily. This was very interesting. It was a communist parade, and one of those signs said, "Vote Democratic. If Hoover's election, there'll be more unemployment because Hoover is so efficient." So that was a good excuse to vote for Roosevelt. This is the New York Central Station, which was very busy because every 2nd Street, and our office was just 2 blocks over.